What's going on, guys? So today on this SHOKY Transformers review, we're going to take a look at new Power of the Primes figures. And this is, of course, Dinobot Snarl from Wave 2. And thank you to Mr. Unboxing Art for hooking me up with this guy, because, well, they haven't hit the shelves anywhere near me yet. So there's Snarl, but first, let's take a look at the packaging, like we do. And we got a nice little animated image of Snarl shooting lasers from his mouth there. Generations logo there. Transformers logo there. You can get robot mode, or I'm sorry, Dino mode Snarl there. You got the wheel of the primes in the background. It says Transformers back there somewhere. You got Power to Primes. Deluxe class, Clase Deluxe, Clase de Lujo, and Clase de Luxo. Dinobot Snarl, ages 8+. Hey, I'm right in the middle of that. And of course, if we come to the back, you'll get the exact same read-up we get with everything else. Just fill in the blank. Hold on, wait. They changed it very slightly. How will the surly, combat-hungry Dinobot wield the power of the primes? It is what it is. And of course, you get the second wave footballs right there. So you got Alpha Trion, Alchemist Prime, and Vector Prime. These look incredibly plain. And the Prime Masters they come with look incredibly plain. I can't talk. Plain. Vector Prime, on the other hand, does look pretty cool right there. Once again, haven't found those in a while. I'm not too interested in actually having all the primes, so don't really care. You got them here. Robot, Dino, changes in 13 steps. You got the dumb armor right there that can do things. So that's enough of the packaging. Okay, now that that's sorted, let's go ahead and look at Snarl. Now, he does come with two accessories. He comes with the dumb Prime Armor, which actually I've got pretty much in hand mode. I kind of forgot about that. So we'll just pretend that wasn't like that. Now, his is actually different from the other Dinobots in that it has the not quite gold peg. That is literally the only difference. It does also come with the clear filler weapon that I just threw at the floor. Sorry, my hands are really slippery. Is exactly the same as we've got at any given point. You just can use it as a really dopey weapon. He does have the hole there that you can fit primes, titans, or these dumb things. Regardless, yeah, and just set that aside. And he does come with a sword. That's very G1 Dinobot sword-like, except that they got so lazy they didn't bother painting it. And I know that all of them have come across clear. This was a terrible decision. It doesn't even match what the Dinobots ever had. They had red swords if they had anything. And he does have the normal 5mm peg, and then he has a big kind of tab. That tab can also be used to go in any 5mm port, because he doesn't actually have like a tab slot anywhere to go on his body. So weapons are what they are. He does also come with the character card. That's kind of stupid. You got the repeat of the box art. You've got Vector Prime symbol there, and you got Snarl, Power of the Primes, and you got Vector Snarl travels back to the time he inhabited Cybertron. Yay. That didn't go that far. Alright, so we've got Snarl here, looking all snarly. Basically, it is what he is. He's got a lot of translucent on him. For some reason, the last wave with him, and of course what we're going to look at next time, has a lot more translucent. They got away from some of the other bits, and I don't know why. Featuring, like, even this little part right here where his Autobot logo is translucent. The shoulders are completely translucent with some of that not so great gold paint stuff underneath, although that looks like molded plastic underneath, not even gold paint. I'm glad they didn't do the tail that way or anything like that, but you do get it up here with the front legs. Like there, we'll look at that more in Dino mode. You do get the translucent with the gold paint underneath. He's done mostly in silver plastic. These are clearly tampagraphs? They're not foil stickers, so it's something. It's either an absolutely perfect sticker or it's a tampograph. I know these are tampographed on. Those are actually very nice. And you actually have gold painted arms, which is interesting, to say the least. So they paint all that. And yeah, the head sculpt is okay. I'm going to raise the camera up again. There we go. head sculpt is at least Snarl-like, although his eyes are painted. Most of the time you can't see. He does look very Decepticon-like in that aspect. And of course, if you want to plug his dumb prime armor to his chest and give him his like flak jacket style, you can totally do that. And he's got ports here, the hands, all those things. So wherever you feel like putting that. Now he does have the quintessential tail come across the back. That's all open with the spikes and stuff. And you look at the back, he is like that. And these actually technically fold flat for no real reason. I'm totally honest. You also have the peg there, I guess, if you feel like putting him on a stand. It is what it is. He does have articulation. Head does rotate. He can look down. He can barely look up. Kind of with the cool looking head there. Ball joint mounted shoulders. Can't go all the way around because of the tail there. You can go out pretty much 90 degrees this way though. But you can see right there, I guess. Oh, okay, I was wrong. It is painted underneath. But it's funny, they paint the inside silver, but then they paint the other part gold. So it's really strange, but the hollowness is just bad. You do get bicep rotation. They'll be very careful because you are rotating that on a giant translucent slot. And single jointed elbow, that's pretty stiff. Gets you to 90 degrees. And the hand is just on a hinge. That's all it does for transformation. The waist rotation is there for transformation purposes, but you can always use it to try to pose, which is always good. He can kick forward and back, like so. He can, gotta be careful. Gotta do Jean-Claude there. It's just T-mounted ball joints in the middle. He does have thigh rotation and a knee bend that barely gets you 90 degrees, if that, because of giant chunky feet and legs. So, I mean, he's quintessentially a Snarl figure, but he's just not great, in my opinion. Because, I mean, look at this. There's just a giant gap of nothingness under his arms. I mean, you can sort of tilt him forward, maybe get a little bit of effect out of that, but, I mean, it's just... he's not great. He's probably one of my least favorites out of the line so far. And speaking of the line, go ahead and bring out all of his compatriots here. So you got Swoop and Grimlock and Slag, or not Slag, as it were. So, I mean, they fit together as a set. That's for sure. But I still think Swoop is a little bit big, and Grimlock is definitely way too big. Now for more comparison, here he is with Wally, just for size, because obviously it's a deluxe, so he's not huge, but he's about 2/3 taller than a Wally. Here he is with the DX9 kind of legend scale one with the wonkiest legs ever. Definitely far closer to a G1 aspect than this is, but you guys know I love me the DX9 versions, and the fact they come with the sword and the gun, but worst knee joints ever. And then to go complete opposite end of the scale, bring in Planet X Summonus, I believe it was. And sadly, guys, while transforming him into robot mode, I did break something for the first time. Really not happy about that, but that's what happens when you use translucent plastics on a joint. They inevitably give out. So this might be one of the last times he transforms. So, alright, get these out of here. Alright guys, here comes the fun part of any video. And it is doing the transformation. Now this guy's actually fairly simple to transform. So you're going to come back here, go ahead and just pull that back, and the head will flip inward, just like so. Make sure you tuck it all the way away. And while you're here, go ahead and flip the arms. It has a rotation joint right here. And you want to click them into the vertical position, like so. And go ahead and close the tail. It's got a dual pivot, and you can see right here, a little tab is for aligning them. And just tab the two together. Then you've got a tab, a couple slots, just snap together. Go ahead and tip the hands away. Very simple. And then come up to the front, and normally you would have to rotate things. Now, one problem I have with this is these doors back here for the legs. They're not too big of a problem in robot mode, but they become a problem in dino mode and even combined mode. Now, you just want to kind of tuck that away, and you've got these red tabs right here on the side. They line up to that detent right there. Do the same thing on the other side. Kind of tab them together. And then this is where it gets complicated because you've got tabs here, slots there, big circular bit here, kind of a receptor here. This has to go in front of and behind there. So it's all about just making sure everybody lines up happy. Like so. And it will all tab together. Get the head tab together. Push it up if you can. Go ahead and grab the front legs and rotate them forward. And you see there's kind of a gap going on there. Just kind of do that number. Come to the back legs, just bend the knees, and there you go. There's your little Snarl. And yeah, in this mode, he's a little weird. The tail is quite stubby. The obvious rear feet came into play. The front legs have no articulation whatsoever, which really depresses me because I would love to have that. The back legs, well, they're the same thing you ever had in the arms. So honestly, the only articulation you actually truly get is back here with the rear legs. Everything else is just as they are. And one thing that sort of depresses me, they leave this cutout here with all this really nice molded detail. And back in the day, that was where the front leg went and like inserted into whenever he was in robot, or in this case gonna have leg mode or arm mode. And it is what it is, but this is why he's probably one of my least favorites. You know, Slag was one of my least favorites. Now this guy probably beats him out. The head looks very silly, not really shaped the right way. He's very pointed. You do get the Autobot logo right there, painted eyes, all the gold and paint coming out from underneath it. The tampos for the legs now, you know, have a little bit of home there. It's just, you know, it doesn't do a lot. And I mean, and you can take the armor and plug it onto the leg for honestly no real reason. And if you want, you can take the sword and plug it in over here, so he looks like a really ridiculous dino. Now, I get that in some ways that's sort of replicating how the old school Diaclone, not quite, or Dinobots yet, existed, but, you know, that's a thing. Now, speaking of comparisons, because I totally said something about comparisons, here's Wally. You can see he definitely shrinks down, because now Wally is almost as tall as him. Scooch him over just a little bit. And here he is with the DX9 version, which I had to remember how to transform properly, which was a chore in and of itself. And as you guys know, the DX9 is definitely very much a G1 representation. But of course, they have the fake part here as well, but in his case, they tuck the front legs away. You see the tail comes out a little bit more, whereas his tail comes down. It's almost more like the trunk of an elephant before anything. I see them doing a remold of him into somebody else. But very G1, not really G1. And then, of course, the only other Stegosaurus we've got, the PX version with the half tail missing, which I still have to figure out how I'm going to fix that. So, very big, very different. And then, go ahead and bring in all his Dinobot buddies that we've seen so far. There's your Slug. There's Mr. Potato, as I call him. There's your Grimmy. And here's Lord Swoopington back here. So, I mean, like I said before, they kind of look good together, but uh, it's like overall, the set does kind of just depress me a little bit, you know? Alright, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get them into his combined modes. I'm going to do foot mode first because that's the one I'm not going to use. So I'm going to do that. Just go ahead and put the little feetsies up like that. Flip the face away like so. So there's your bottom end. Now with the arms, you got to get these tabs into here, and I'm trying to remember the best way to do that. Is it this? I think it's, you got to flip it up here and then tab it in there. They all have a slightly different approach to combining. So more or less like that. Then you want to come over here, pop the tail open. You can flip these wide. They did a clever job of hiding the combiner port. I'll give them credit on that one. Now you got two options. You can leave the tail up like that to form kind of a knee, or you can do what I think, and I'm saying this I think because I'm not sure. The instructions, you can totally do it like this. You can plug your foot into the bottom here. It's a very tight fit. So there's his foot mode, and like I said, if you want to like be able to like cover up the knee a little bit, and this might just be a preferential thing, you could totally leave the tail up. I actually dig the look of this. It keeps the spines as a continuous thing. I actually prefer that, but I can go ahead and put him in his arm mode, which is what we're going to do him as. So combiner port down. Go ahead and loosen up the arms just real quick, because now we need to split the legs, and I will need a pry tool for this because I'm not joking, I can never get this thing apart by hand. So do you guys remember all those different tabs overlapping? So split the nose first, gives you somewhere to start. Then you can come in here to this tab and just pry it apart. I have the absolute hardest time doing that with my hands. I have not once accomplished it just by hand. Okay, so you want to kind of untab about as good as you can, because for some reason they like to stay together, and they do not like to come away from the main body worth a damn. There we go. So get the one and then get the other. Okay, so now you've still got the same tabs there, and you can totally do it this way. Now, these tabs back here, I could be wrong. There might have been a different way to do that, because you also have these tabs on the elbow here. But I don't know, because that's not going to reach there. But this might have reached down to there. I know one of those was a thing. So you can go one way or the other. It honestly doesn't change a thing, depending on which way you go. So for this mode, we're going to go like this. You want to tab everything back together, but because it's going into hand mode, you need to flip this adapter down and then close it all back up so that you have the same mess we started with. Come on. Okay. There we go. Doesn't like to tab together, doesn't like to come untabbed. So, now the problem is, there's no real good tab holding the top together. I'm going to make this guy a left arm. Now, I'm sure most of the instructions will tell you to do it this way so you get the extra elbow joint, but I always think that looks like crap looking at that side. So I like doing it with the spine side out. And like I said, that tab really sucks. So let's grab his hand, put it into hand mode, and yeah, you can do this a couple different ways, like we've always discussed with the double thumb. I kind of wish they had just given you one thumb and not worried about it, to be totally honest. But you plug the hand in there and flip the fingers out. And these things can be super tight and not want to untab when they're brand new. So you got to be careful with that. I have really jacked up some fingernails doing that. Alright, so let's bring in Volcanicus as we left him. Yay, Volcanicus! Alright, so I still have Jazz for a leg because we don't have a leg yet. And of course, just like we did before, I lost Dreadwind already, so we'll put that arm on there. And there you go. And like I said, you can go one of two ways. If you don't really want to cover up the shoulder joint, you can still split this open. But I think that looks really weird, especially in this mode. So if you do that, then you end up with a shoulder like this. And I don't think that looks cool. So I like to do that number and just cover up that shoulder joint. And you can see the arms aren't entirely the same length. He's actually a hair longer than Swoop. For whatever reason, just is, and now he wants to tilt forward. But there's a partial Volcanicus. And, yeah, I mean, he's technically getting better. The articulation is still the same, so it is what it is. But next time, we're going to take a look at the last of the Dinobots, and we have Dinobot Sludge, and we can make proper Volcanicus, where he's actually done. So make sure you stick around for that review, guys. And I want to thank my patrons as always, John, Andy, Steve, and Kolby. You guys are great. If you want to join the Patreon and help support the channel, right here on the screen, become a Patreoneer today. And if you want to buy any of the Shoky merch, right here on the screen. And if this is still before the end of May, anything purchased from either store, either mine or the Lupus for Lupus store, go to the Lupus for Lupus charity. But that's it for this review, guys. And remember, as always, keep on building. That's it for this review, guys. And remember, as always, keep on nerding.